Hi everyone, Crista Cowan here with another episode of The Barefoot Genealogist. It is time for our monthly edition of What's New at Ancestry. This is for November 2018. For those of you who've never joined us for a What's New episode, we're going to talk about some upcoming genealogical events that you might be interested in attending in person or via online streaming. We will then cover new product updates on the site, and then we will talk about the new content that has been released over the course of the last month. So let's go ahead and dive in. First, let's talk about RootsTech. So for those of you who aren't familiar, RootsTech is the largest genealogical conference in the world, and Ancestry, myself included, have been deeply involved in planning and preparing for this event. And so it will be the 27th of February, that's a Wednesday, through the 2nd of March, and that's a Saturday. It is held in Salt Lake City every year. Now, the early bird registration opened the 20th of September, and so if you're interested in attending, I encourage you to go to their website, rootstech.com, and check out what they've got offered there. There is a registration for each day of the event, or you can buy a full registration for the entire event. And then there are also some add-on events, things like breakfasts and lunches, computer labs, so if you want to participate in those as well. If you don't want to participate in those, that's fine. There are plenty of classes. And if you live in the Utah area, you can come and attend the exhibit hall for free. So RootsTech, really great event. If you've never been to a genealogy conference, I always encourage people to try to find one near them or come to one of these big events. It's an experience where you get to just immerse yourself with like-minded people and learning new things. One of the things that I've discovered is that a lot of people who are involved in family history or who have just taken a DNA test or just started their family tree, they don't know what they don't know. And so a genealogy conference or event is a great way to kind of open your mind and your eyes to the possibilities that exist for you in this process of discovering more about your family history and more about yourself. So the big deal about RootsTech, and the reason that it's the only event that I'm talking about today, besides the fact that that registration is already open, is also if you are coming in from out of town, a lot of the hotels are starting to fill up. So the conference has arranged for some conference specials at some of the local hotels, and that information will be there on their website. And I actually booked my hotel for the event months ago, long before I registered for the conference itself. So if you want to get in on that, I would encourage you to jump on that as quickly as possible. Okay, let's talk about some product updates. So Ancestry has made a couple of changes over the course of the last month. Most of these are enhancements requested by you, our customers. And so let's just share a couple of those things with you. The first is sharing your tree with a link. And then the second is that you can now view a thumbnail of PDFs and view the PDF itself in your gallery on your tree. So let's talk about that second thing first. Typically, when you upload an image to your tree, you can see a thumbnail of it, and then you can click on it, and it will open it up in an image viewer that allows you to see the image in the tree, in the context of the tree. You could also upload PDFs to your tree. However, in order to view PDFs previously, you had to download them, and that was whether they were in your own tree or someone else's public tree. Now we have a PDF viewer, so you can view them right there in the gallery. And I think that that's a fantastic enhancement that we've got that access now. Okay, next let's talk about sharing with links. So when you click on your tree name and you go down to sharing, and it used to be that the only way that you could share your tree with someone else was by email or by username. Now, one of the questions that we get asked a lot is, well, my tree's public, why do I need to share it? Well, a public tree on Ancestry just simply means that anyone with an Ancestry subscription can see your tree. You can share your tree with anyone you want to, whether they have an Ancestry subscription or not. And again, you could share it by email, or you could share it if they had an Ancestry account. not necessarily a paid subscription, but maybe they'd taken a DNA test, or maybe they used to have a subscription, but they've canceled that subscription for a period of time, or whatever the case may be. You could share it by username. A couple of problems that we were running into was a lot of times email providers, various email providers, were bouncing the email link as if it was spam. And so that email was never getting to the intended invitee, and that was causing some problems. The other thing is that some users have chosen to display their real name instead of their username. And so you all would be going to share a tree with somebody and you'd type in the name that you saw, not recognizing that that was not actually their username. And so we've created this third option now for you to share your tree with others. And again, if your tree is private, you can share it with other people who might want to view your tree. If your tree is public, you can share your tree with anyone, whether they have an Ancestry subscription or not. The roles that you give somebody when you share the tree are guest, contributor, or editor. Now, all a guest can do is view your tree. And I use this a lot for my family who does not have an Ancestry subscription but are interested in what I'm doing on the family tree. I give them guest access. The next option is a contributor, which means they can add information to your tree, but they cannot edit or delete anything. And then the third role that you can assign to someone that you invite is editor. Now be careful with that, because an editor can do anything in your tree that you can do. They can see notes, which are automatically privatized. They can delete anything. They can edit anything. So you want to make sure you're really careful with who you share that role with. You also have this ability here to decide whether the person that you're inviting to your tree can see living people or not. For those of you who aren't aware, on Ancestry, information about living people is automatically privatized, even if your tree is public. So you would have to expressly give people permission to see the living people. So that's how those are the options for roles and access to trees when you share a tree. And now this third option we've given you for sharing a tree is to create a shareable link. So you click on that, you select the role, you decide whether or not you want them to see living people, and then you click this Create Link button. And what that does is it just generates a link. You can then copy that link, and you can share it with anyone you want through any method you want. So rather than clicking this email button and having Ancestry have to send a message to the other user, you can email them directly, or if you're connected to them through Facebook Messenger or any other way, you can send them a link. Now keep in mind, anywhere this link goes, or anyone who has access to this link will have access to your tree. So be careful who you share that link with, but that is a new way to share your tree. Now, when you go into your tree settings and click on sharing, you're going to see the generated link, and you'll be able to see ultimately if anybody clicks on that link and has access to your tree, so that you can control whether you want them to continue to have access, again, the role, and whether or not they can see living people. Hopefully that made sense. If you have any questions about that, feel free to comment here on the YouTube video, and I'll see what I can do about answering those questions. Okay, we also made a few changes this past month to AncestryDNA. So let's just run through those. So on your AncestryDNA match list, so when you click to see who your DNA matches are, we have now, in the match list, we now show you how much DNA you share, and that is measured in what we call centimorgans, in the list view. So it used to be that in order to access this information, you had to click on the username of your DNA match, go into the DNA match page, not the match list, but through to view the match on the match page. And then you had to click the little I next to the confidence level in order to get the shared centimorgan information. Anybody who has worked with DNA for any amount of time knows that that shared centimorgan information is really critical in figuring out how you are related to this match. So Ancestry gives you a prediction based on how much DNA you share, but the actual number becomes really important. Now, if you don't know what that number means, or if you're brand new to noticing or paying attention to or using this information, you can click the little question mark right there next to that, and we will give you some information about how to use that. and some little simple chart about how to interpret that number and what that number means. Again, if you have questions about the details of that, feel free to comment here on the YouTube channel, and I will see what I can do about answering those questions. Now, also on the DNA match list, just right across the line on the match list, we now have this new compare button. When you click that compare button, it takes you to another page that compares your DNA results to the DNA results of your match across 3 different categories. The first is we look at your ethnicity estimate and the ethnicity estimate of your match, and we show you the things that you have in common. The second thing is if one or either of you have a shared migration, we show you that. And then we also show you the shared matches list. Now, to view the match, you can click, after you click compare, you can click through to view the match from there, or you can just go straight to view the match from the match list as always. So that hasn't changed. We've just added this new comparison page. And sometimes it's kind of fun to compare some of the different things that are happening between you and any given DNA match. Okay, another thing that we have added to AncestryDNA this past month. So last month, well, in September, we added the matches map, and some of you may have noticed that. It's still in beta, but basically across the top of your DNA match list, you have this filter and search bar, and over here you have the matches map, and you can click on that, and it takes you to this matches page. Now, we added that in September. Here's the change we made based on your feedback in October. We now have given you this option up here to filter by relationship. So you have all these dots that show you where or how many of your DNA matches live in any given place, and then you can click filter by relationship, and you can actually then say you don't want to look at 4th cousins. Well, you can uncheck them. Or say you only want to look at 3rd cousins, and so you uncheck everybody but the 3rd cousins, or any combination thereof, so that you can kind of see where those matches currently live. Now, all of that is self-reported information from the profile. So if you click in the top right-hand corner of your Ancestry screen, you'll get to your member profile, and if you want other people to know where you currently live, then you can enter that in there. You can be as specific or as broad as you want. In my case, I've got the town that I live, but I don't put my address or anything. Some people just put the state. Some people just put the country. You do what you are comfortable with. But I have found it super fascinating to see, for example, that 7 of my DNA matches live right here within about an hour of where I live. And so it might be interesting to compare notes with them, and I've got some family artifacts in my possession, and I'm curious if they do, and what we can learn from each other about our shared ancestry. So again, that's on your AncestryDNA map view of your your matches map, and you can now filter by relationship. Okay, that was a lot of product updates for this past month. Let's talk about content. So Ancestry has released a lot of new content this month. We're just going to run through it fairly quickly today. There is a database called the UK Mechanical Engineers Records. These start in 1847. And previously, we only had access to the records up through 1930. So this database has been updated with records from 1931 through 1938. So that's some additional years added, and you're going to see that might be a theme here today. Next, we have some German birth and death records. Now, these are civil records, meaning they're government records, not church records. They start in 1874, and because of privacy laws, the birth records go through 1905, but the death records are available through 1974. So we've got those Germany birth and deaths for that particular region in Germany. I'm not even going to try and pronounce, well, I am going to try and pronounce it, Nienberg? Yeah, I don't know. My family's from a different place in Germany. We also have Nuremberg, Germany records. These are births, marriages, and deaths. Again, civil registration or government records, not church records. They start in 1876, and here's the ending years. So the births go through 1905. You're probably noticing a theme. Again, that has to do with privacy laws. The marriages go through 1925, and in this case, the deaths for this region of Germany go through 1980. So births, marriages, and deaths for Nuremberg, Germany. Okay, next we have Ontario, Canada, marriages and deaths. These are two separate databases, one for marriages, one for deaths, and this is an update. So the marriages previously only went through 1928. We now have added the records for 1929 through 1932. And the deaths previously only went through 1938, and now we have added the years 1939 through 1942. So hopefully that is useful information for you. We also have added a database of records from the Ukraine. This is records from the Jewish community of Polonia, and this is a set of records from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. Ancestry, as you may know, has a partnership with them where we have been indexing records for them through the World Memory Project, which is something that anybody can participate in. And those records, any records that are indexed from the USHMM through the World Memory Project, that index is then made available for free on Ancestry. So it is just an index-only collection. The museum has opted to keep copies of the original records, and so when you find something in this collection or in any of the USHMM collections, once you find that record, you can then contact the museum, give them the information from the index, and they will email you a copy of the record itself. So this is, again, a United States Holocaust Memorial Museum record that was indexed through the World Memory Project, and this is a database of records that covers the period of time immediately preceding World War II. So I think these records, if I remember correctly, they start in about 1932 and they go through 1939. And then finally, we have the South Dakota Marriages Database. This is an update to an existing database. We have been able to add the 2017 marriages. So if you are looking for living people, which a lot of us are doing now with our DNA matches and trying to figure out how we're related to them and how we connect to them, some of these more current records become extremely valuable for us. So that is it for today. Hopefully that was useful information. So we've got some, the big Roots Tech event coming up. We've got some changes to trees and some changes to AncestryDNA, and then some big content updates for this past month. As always, if you have questions, please leave them here in the YouTube comments. I will monitor those and answer as I can. Be sure to subscribe to the Ancestry YouTube channel so that you'll be notified when new episodes of The Barefoot Genealogist are uploaded. And then if there's a topic that you would like discussed, you can email me at ask@ancestry.com with those suggestions. I'll put those on the list and see what we can do about getting that scheduled as a topic for one of our future episodes. Until next time, this is Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.